Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Living from the Heart. My name's Helen and this is my lovely friend.
Olwen. Hi, nice to meet you.
So yes, hi Olwen. This is Olwen Jennings. So today we're recording as having a general chat between ourselves, but the umbrella theme of the subject is people pleasing. We don't know if you've heard of this or not, but if not, it's just to maybe perhaps bring this to your attention as to what this is, the energy that this holds. It is an overarching theme, really, that contains underneath it potentially many different aspects of our lives. And so myself and Olwen have been quite brave today because we're having a bit of a discussion about this. And I suppose we're being a little bit vulnerable in having analysed our own actions, behaviours, thoughts for quite some time now. We find it much easier to identify the things that we've been conditioned to believe about ourselves, how that plays out in our lives, and how that impacts other people and the circumstances that we might attract into our lives. So that's the overall theme really of Living from the Heart, is being able to bring to you highlight different aspects of what living from the heart means, what that looks like, and when we're not living from the heart, what does that look like as well?
Yeah, exactly. So the aim is to share a little bit of our story every now and then, so that, when we're coming on here to perhaps make suggestions and help you guys with your own issues around living from the heart or not living from the heart because you're trying to do what society or other people are telling you to do. You can see that we've been through it as well, actually we still go through it. We just have to remember that and remind ourselves that the most important thing is that we should be living from our hearts, and I guess that we don't need to please everybody all the time, and because not everybody's going to like us anyway. But I think, Helen, that's been a hard one for both of us, hasn't it?
It certainly has, and sometimes very hard lessons have come my way, but they've needed to in order to wake me up, basically. So yeah, a really important point that you made there, Olwen, about the fact that, even though we're here offering sort of words of wisdom, so to speak, it does not in any shape or form make us absolutely perfect. We are human, and no matter how much work we've done, excuse me, on ourselves, it's a constant work in process, isn't it?
No, absolutely, because I know, Helen, like, I've had many conversations with you and other friends where I've said, I thought I've dealt with that issue. I thought I'd gone past that. I thought I wasn't doing that anymore. And it comes back, but maybe in a different way. So it's kind of the way I feel like what we've learned, Helen, together is like, we've been conditioned to behave in a certain way as women quite often, and we've gone along with it. We haven't realized we were being conditioned, of course. And then one day we've realized, hang on a minute, that doesn't really fit in with me. That doesn't make me happy. But every now and again, it's easy to go back to that societal conditioning or wherever the conditioning comes from. It's not always society, but so you have to catch yourself. Well, I have to catch myself because people pleasing for me, if we're talking about people, because our first probably set of videos is going to be about people pleasing, because there's so many aspects to it. But for me, people pleasing came from a place of wanting to keep the peace, and not wanting conflict. I'm not very good with conflict. I like to not run away from it, but I like to fix it, so that everybody else is happy. And then if everybody else is happy, I'm happy, right? But actually, sometimes that's not the answer, because what I'm doing is stopping people from really analysing why they are feeling the way they are. And I'm actually stopping myself from expressing how I feel as well. Because I feel like if I express how I feel as well, it would make the situation worse. I don't know if you've ever done that, Helen.
Yeah, I think right now you've sort of brought that up. You've made me realise one of the aspects of my very, very early years, and it's tied in with being very sensitive, I think, in that we can be very highly tuned into how other people are feeling and the energy that people are bringing in. So there was ill health in our family and a little bit of angst, I would say, mixed in with that. So I felt that quite acutely, and I suppose I just wanted to make everything better, because it was almost like, from what you said, Olwen, it was almost like I needed permission to be happy. It was almost like, if they're not happy, I'm not allowed. It's not right for me to be happy either.
I get that.
A big one, you know. It was like a guilt or a shame factor.
No, absolutely. And I think you're right there. It is about, because we're both sensitive, we're both highly sensitive, we're empaths as well. And for those of you who don't know what that means you literally feel everybody's emotions. But when you're growing up, you don't realize that's what you're doing. You think that they're your emotions, right? So hindsight's a wonderful thing. And they don't teach you this stuff at school either. But I mean, you're right. I think one of my and I think where my people pleasing comes from is from my family. I'm not blaming them, it's just the way it is or was. My mum and dad were very vocal towards each other, in that they would, if they didn't agree with each other, they would shout and scream and all the rest of it. And one of them in particular was quite unkind. I felt unkind with words being said against the other, and I could really feel the hurt of the other parent. And it was, well, I didn't know that's what I was feeling. I just felt it was wrong and unjust, and but apart from that, I just wanted the house to be happy, right? And usually mine or my brother would be brought into it, not that it wasn't our fault, but it made us feel like it was our fault. So I'd end up at a very tender age trying to mediate. trying to say, well, don't you think if you did it this way, or you said it this way, or you didn't do that? I'm like, who was I to really even try to do that? But I thought I was doing the right thing.
It's a big weight we take on our shoulders as little, isn't it? Huge weight. And I think we can carry that with us for the rest of our lives without realizing it. Hence maybe why we find ourselves in the professional roles that we do. You've said about mediating, that's probably played quite a strong role in what you've done career wise.
I suppose it has. Not really thought about that before, but I mean, I went into family law, so divorce and all that kind of stuff. So I guess even though I was more a lawyer than a mediator, I was trying to resolve the issues as well.
And I think, again, what you've just touched on there, Olwen, has made me think about the element of blame. We can maybe sit here and sit in judgment of the behaviours that we experienced, but they were only acting out their traumas and woundings. So there's a heavy ancestral element to this as well. So we're not only serving ourselves in sorting this stuff out, in being much more aware and helping to bring some healing to it, we're helping to break those patterns that come in. It's very powerful stuff, is this, being able to look at our stuff and what's maybe been passed on from generation to generation.
No, definitely. And the minute you do start to unpack it for yourself, you can then start to see why perhaps, like in my case, mum and dad behaved in that certain way. Because also, wisdom comes with age as well. And I think, the older you get, and when you perhaps have your own children, or you've got children around you, and you start to see where perhaps your mum and dad, or whoever it was, had their difficulties and where they came from. And yes, they only come from what they've learned. So and I know we know this from the work that we do, that when we start to look at ourselves, we're helping to heal the ancestral line going backwards and and going forwards as well.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's very powerful, like you say. And going back to what you said, Helen, about, that being illness in your home and everything, do you think that's perhaps why you ended up going into sort of the profession you ended up going into?
Yeah, I think only just talking about
Yeah.
it now and me recognizing that in your path.
Yeah. When you said it to me, I was like,
yeah, yeah. I always thought it came from my dad, actually, on a couple of occasions when he was a little bit fraught, should I say, saying, "You don't care," da, 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 da. And it's like, it stays with you. So it's almost like, well, I need to prove I do care. So then you head on down this path, but it probably started much earlier than that. It's just an accumulation, of what we've been talking about. But yeah, definitely the caring role was probably, again, in another way, trying to make everything right for people.
Yeah, which is a good thing. I mean, it's true, when you're in pain or when anything's going wrong with you physically, it does make you unhappy, doesn't it, as well? So
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I think when I was thinking about this last night, knowing we were going to have a little chat together, for me, and this is coming from a very vulnerable place, in being able to identify one aspect of this that I can clearly see in me, and it's part of the wounded child.
Right.
And it's having come from a place of feeling unloved, rejected, not feeling as though I fit in. So there was almost a bit of a manipulative energy that comes with the people pleasing, in that I'd try and find that place of doing something that got me seen, that got me acknowledged, that helped me to fit in, that helped me to feel as though I belonged and I was loved or accepted in some way. I'm not saying that was every single part, because I did put at the beginning that underneath it all, we have a very big hearts. Many of us have very big hearts. So not to chastise ourselves, but just recognising that as that young child, and it can come from a place of being shown this from others as well. It's like, well, how do I get to be part of the gang? How do I get to feel as though I'm a good little girl? So you possibly start down this path of exploration. Well, what is it that gets me to feel accepted or loved? Does that make sense?
No, it does, and it's stirring up another memory within me, which is slightly different though, in that this was at school, so primary school, and I was always really different to everybody else at the school. I can't really explain it, but I know that I was more sensitive and probably was picking up on everything that was going on. But I wanted to be popular, but at the same time I didn't know how to make myself popular, because I wasn't really loud. I was quite quiet. I was shy. I never really put my hand up in class, and even though I worked hard, I never volunteered myself for anything. So there was a situation once where these friends of mine were trying to encourage me to pick on another person in the playground.
Right, yeah.
It was a silly game when I look back on it, but it was like, they were telling me what to say to this, well, boy, I think it was actually, go up to him and say whatever it was, horrible things probably. And then you can be in our gang type thing, which is so ridiculous when I think about it. And in fact, I thought it was ridiculous pretty soon after that. But at the time, I felt awful doing it. I did it because I don't even know if that is people pleasing, but it is wanting to be accepted and wanting to find a way in, isn't it? But I was going up to this person and saying, they want me to tell you this, so can you pretend you're upset?
We do.
And then I'd come back and say, oh yeah, I've done it. Oh my goodness, so silly.
But such insight in you, because again, you know, we were very young, but the insight that you held at that point in order to be able to go up to that person and say, look, I'm being asked this, but I don't really want to hurt you, but can you just go?
I really remember I go, look, you know, and he I'm sure it was a boy, and he was really cool. Wasn't cool, but he was good about it, you know, bless him. And I think about him now, and I did apologize as well separately, but yeah. And I suppose I don't think I stayed friends with those girls anyway, because they were just too mean, but yeah.
Gosh, yeah, our school days can hold quite a lot of traumatic events, really, in a way, can't they? We don't realise it, do we? And yeah, I think part of this is to be able to see it, recognise what what was playing out at that time, but not to hold on to it in a way that we are bringing shame to ourselves, not to judge ourselves. You can call it, bring forgiveness to it, but even then, when I used to work on myself, it's like forgiveness had this element of somebody being better than another. It isn't, it's surrendering that and transforming that energy, letting it go, cutting the cords with those lessons, and knowing that we've all done these similar kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the word forgiveness, you know, when we first started working with that kind of thing back in the day, forgiveness for me meant, well, to be forgiven, you must have done something really bad, you know. Whereas people pleasing is not really bad. It's not a, you know, what you consider something that needed to be punished, sort of thing. Well, not punished, because you know, when you forgive somebody, it's almost like, right, I'm not, in my mind, the way I was brought up, you either have a consequence or you get forgiven. So but having said that, it is so important, because it's about, first of all, I think it's about accepting that's just how it was, and you didn't mean anything by it, you know, and you were doing your best, right? You were trying to fit in, sensitive person, trying to fit in with your friends, with your peers, family, whatever it was. And yes, we do have big hearts, so we genuinely do want people to be happy, but it's when it comes at the expense of our own happiness that comes problem, I guess. So it's acceptance of where we were, but also forgiveness, like you just said, because we need to forgive ourselves, because we haven't allowed ourselves to express exactly how we feel.
That's right. Yeah. It is a big one, isn't it? And I think we probably are going to have maybe one or two more conversations like this, Olwen.
No, definitely. We've got lots to share with, and it's nice having a conversation anyway. It's therapy for us as well.
Because when we share, I mean, I found this in other walks of life that I've been working in, that by sharing our stories, it can help to surface something that we have forgotten about. And it is a release of that energy within us, because when we hold in any form of negative energy, it has an effect that can create ill health or dis-ease in us. And it's amazing. We don't realise maybe initially what positive effects that can have in how we then go on to live our life, but it does. It's very, very healing, and it's, you know, it's a significant path to take. So it's a very powerful way, is actually sharing and allowing our experiences to surface. Is there anything else you want to add, Olwen?
No, I don't think so. I think, like you say, we've got more to share on this subject as we go, and we'd love your, you know, your own experiences, your own feedback, as to whether any of this sort of triggers any memories in you or brings something up for you, because the more we share this sort of stuff out in the world, the more we can all heal our own stories.
That's right.
But I think that's it for now.
Oh, that's wonderful. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
No, it's good fun.
And I'll just ask if anybody has any comments to make, or please, give us a thumbs up, even if it's just that, because when
that would be great.
it helps other people who might be feeling the same way as we have been doing to actually access the information that we're sharing.
Yeah.
So we would love you to do that. That would be
Yeah.
great. So
Brilliant.
thank
And
you,
have a great
Olwen.
day.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you, and to everybody else, take
Yeah.
care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.